This video walks through completing Packet Tracer Assignment 2.3.2.5, Implementing Basic Connectivity. So the previous two labs in Chapter 2, we've kind of slowly gotten our feet wet with being able to interact with the device, configuring some basic username, host name stuff. And in this lab, we're going to add on to that with some IP addressing. So I may zoom through a couple of the commands based off of us completing the first two, because hopefully you have as well, and kind of really hone in on the IP addressing information. So for end-to-end connectivity, we can't just plug in some cables. We also got to have some addressing set up, and we will get to more addressing later, why it's important and stuff, but this is kind of just an introduction to it. So in part one, we have performed basic configurations on S1 and S2. This stuff we did in our previous two labs. So for this one, I clicked on switch 1. We're going to go to enable, and I'm going to change the global configuration mode, and it says enter the correct command to configure the host name as S1. So I do host name S1. Use Cisco for the console password. So if you remember, we do line console 0, password Cisco, and we have to type in login to force it to use it. And it tells us to use class for the privileged exec mode password. So if you remember, we do enable password class. Now, if they would have told you to use class for the privileged exec mode secret, then you would have did enable secret. Our next step says, how could you verify they're both configured correctly? Remember, you back all the way out, type exit a couple times, or you can type in to back all the way out, and then try to log in and see what happens. It says verify the password configuration. So if we do that, let's do end. Exit one more time. All right, our password it wants us to use here, Cisco. We type enable, and then it wants us another password, which is class. You hit enter, and now we're back into configuration mode and can get rolling again. So configure a message of the day. So we do banner MOTD, authorized access only. Violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Okay. It says to save it. So to save it, remember we got to exit out to where we just have the pound symbol in privileged exec mode, and we want to do copy, run, start, and we just hit enter there, and that saves our configuration. So we want to repeat these steps for switch 2. So we're going to exit out of switch 1, go over to switch 2, enable config T. We're going to set a host name of S2, line console 0, password Cisco, login, enable password class, and we're going to set a banner MOTD, authorized access only. Violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And we're going to exit out and copy, run, start. And we're going to save our configurations there. Okay. Now in part 2, they have us configure the IP addressing on the end devices or the computers themselves. So we click on PC1, go to desktop, IP configuration, and you see right now it's all blank. Now we haven't really dove into that, but later we'll do DHCP where we'll configure the router or switch to actually be like a DHCP server, and it'll automatically assign our PC an address. You're probably used to that at home or even in lab assignments. Right now we're going to set it to be static, so we're going to tell it what to be. And we're going to type in what it suggests, 192.168.1.1. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Don't always go with what it suggests. Sometimes it suggests the right thing. In this case, it did. In some situations, it will not. All right, so we've entered that in there, and it says repeat steps, and you can just close this and it will actually save it. and we're going to repeat these steps for PC2. So my IP addressing here, 192.168.1.1, or sorry. And we're going to type in 192.168.1.2, and we're going to leave that subnet mask there. Now up in our addressing table too, at the top of our directions, you will see the IP addresses that you're supposed to use. So when it says repeat the steps, just make sure you consult that to make sure you type in the right address. So we're going to go back down to here, and it says we can close out, and we're going to test the connectivity. So on PC1, all right, we're going to go to command prompt, and it says to ping 192.168.1.253. Hit enter. Now, this should not be successful. The reason being, we have not set up an interface with this IP address yet. So you may have noticed that we haven't typed this in anywhere. So, you can wait for it to ping it 4 times, and it should say 100% fail, 0% successful. All right, there we go. It lost all the packets. So we go back to switch 1. We need to configure something to kind of be a interface on the switch to route it from the one place to the next. Now, usually we have a router to do this for us, but we don't have one in this configuration. So we're going to go back to configure terminal, and we're going to do interface VLAN 1. Okay, and we're going to do IP address 192.168.1.253, 255.255.255.0, and no shutdown. That will actually turn on the port once we do it. Now, this is a virtual port. This is not a physical one for VLAN 1, but we'll see the significance of that in a minute. So we're going to go over to switch 2 and do the same thing, but with different IP addressing information. So config T, interface VLAN 1. Now you notice there I abbreviated interface INT. You can do that. And then IP add for IP address. And the IP address it wants is 192.168.1.254. And the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. So just hit a space there in between the IP address and the subnet mask. Hit enter, and we do no shutdown or no shut. We'll turn it on. If you wanted to turn it off, then you would do shut or shutdown. All right. Oh, and also one other thing. We want to go back, and now we're going to check and save both of our configurations. So copy, run, start, and copy, run, start. And we want to try to ping from one to the other. So again, we're going to go back to PC1, and let's try that ping one more time. Just hit the up arrow to bring it back. And now we're getting a reply after the first one failed. So if we retry it again, we should get all of them to work. And you can try the same thing from PC2 as well. .1.254. And again, it may fail the first time and then bring it back up after that. Yep, so now you see it's talking to each other successfully, and that is what we want. Now let's see here. It gave us 86 out of 88. What item? The enable secret. I forgot to configure that on S1, S2. So it wanted the enable secret instead of the enable password. So that's what we were talking about a little earlier. So if we go back here on S1, so it wanted us to do enable secret, which was a little confusing wording they had there. Class. All right, and then the same thing on S2. And it gave us that message because we had the exact same one for the password, but we just typed in there wrong and enabled secret class there. So that gives us 88 out of 88, or a 100 for this lab assignment. So again, that walks through completing 2.3.2.5. If you've got any questions further, let me know, and you can email me, call me, or stop by my office.